Today we're going to talk about something that Shelaba asked me about on Twitter recently, and I figured it would actually make an interesting video topic as well. And that is comparing Height of the Urchin, Spirit Robe and Mantle of Discord in regards to their effective health, their passives and how they generally work in the game and how strong they are. All three of them have different up and downsides that may make them more beneficial on certain characters, on certain situations, and we're going to go into exactly that. First, a very quick rundown of what effective health is. Effective health is basically the value that you get if you combine your own health and one of the protection stats. So if you want your physical effective health, then you have to combine your physical protection and your health. And the number that you get out of that will tell you how many hits you can take from a physical character. So if you have a lot of physical protection, the same amount of health will be worth more against a physical damage dealer than if you have little physical protections, due to the fact that you simply take less damage from a single hit, giving you more effective health. I'll do these comparisons based on the physical protections. They should not be very different for the magic protections though, as all of these items have the same magical protection as they have physical protection, so the idea remains the same, only that some characters have less magical protection to begin with, so it adds up a little differently, but it shouldn't be a major difference in that regard. To keep the comparison fair, I have used different health and protection values, different tests with those different values in order to see if that changes anything for any of the items, especially since Height of the Urchin has health while the other items don't. I compared the items on characters with 2000 health and 70 physical protections. These are pretty much the base values that we'll have around level 20 on many characters. Height of the Urchin unstacked had an effective health of 4612. If it was fully stacked, which you cannot really assume, but more looking at the unstacked value here for most comparisons, had an effective health of 5287. Spirit Robe came in at 4200, but Spirit Robe with his passive, with the damage mitigation, came in at 4941. Mantle of Discord was somewhere in between with 4600 effective health. There's a few interesting things that we can already see from these values. A. Height of the Urchin is, even when unstacked, a pretty strong item. It has more effective health than Mantle of Discord while being cheaper, and it is also better than Spirit Robe without its passive, which will be Spirit Robe a fair bit of the time. At the same time, the best effective health that you can immediately reach after buying the item is actually on Spirit Robe by quite a significant stretch. You get an extra 300 effective health. This is very important because many teams have high CC, and when you have high CC it will proc Spirit Robe quite often, and often the damage that this team does will follow after the Spirit Robe proc. Often that's the moment the team will invest their abilities onto you because you're CC'd, and they may not react correspondingly to the Spirit Robe proc and wait out the Spirit Robe proc, because in that moment you may already be gone. So depending on the character, this is a huge benefit. What's also interesting is that Height of the Urchin, when fully stacked, even outclasses Spirit Robe with its passive by quite a significant bit. Meaning, if you have half of the stacks, you should already be around Spirit Robe and its passive, and half of the stacks are often reasonable to get, though not always. Before we talk about the other details here, the other important points, let's look at some other values first. If we look at 2500 HP, so a more tanky character, with 130 protections beforehand, so an extra physical defense item, things don't really change too much. Height of the Urchin now has 7287 effective health. If it's fully stacked, it is 8112 health. If you look at Spirit Robe, it is pretty low without its passive as before. It's 6750 effective health. Though, if you have the passive, it's 7941 effective health. So once again, above Height of the Urchin, now leaning more towards a fully stacked Height of the Urchin, so it becomes a little more effective in that regard. Mantle of Discord, once again, somewhere in between there with 7250 health. If we keep the same HP value, 2500 health, but use the 70 protection value, there are not too many changes either. We have Height of the Urchin is 5600, then when it's fully stacked at 6500, whereas Spirit Robe is sitting at 5300, and Spirit Robe with its passive is sitting at 6200, whereas Mantle of Discord is sitting at 5800, all rounded this time. So you can pretty much see a clear pattern here. Spirit Robe gains a lot of benefits if you already have some health and protections to begin with, and that swings it more towards a fully stacked Height of the Urchin, towards that favorable side, whereas Mantle of Discord is usually more towards Height of the Urchin unstacked, though it obviously has another benefit. And that's the benefits we need to address when talking about these items, while also talking about the prices. Height of the Urchin is the cheapest one with 2,350 gold. A pretty cheap item actually for its stats, though it is a purely tanky item with no other benefits surrounding it. Spirit Robe with 2,500 is not that much more expensive, whereas Mantle of Discord with 2,900 has a significant price difference. But what do you pay for here? Cooldown reduction. Height of the Urchin has none of that, whereas both Spirit Robe and Mantle of Discord have 10. Not only can this 10% make a difference in regard to escapes, using escapes and getting out of fighting scenarios, or for example using shields again or whatever you have, but also in regards to aggression. They are basically offering you more aggressive options overall, because the cooldown reduction will allow you to use more aggressive abilities more often too. This is why they're often the preferred choice, especially on assassins, who benefit a lot from cooldown reduction. Crowd control reduction is only on Spirit Robe. This is a very nice benefit because it means that in the situations where you're most likely to take damage, you will be able to get out quicker. This is something that can't really be put into numbers, obviously, but it does give you some decent benefits in that regard. And then we have the other stats that are there. For Height of the Urchin, that's 250 extra mana, something that I don't think is all too relevant, though it is a nice bonus. The relevant part here is Mantle of Discord's passive that we've not spoken about. This AoE CC immunity proc is very, very strong. It will often proc in situations where you're pretty much supposed to be dead due to everyone around you attacking you, surrounding you, and, well, beating down on you, and then you all of a sudden CC multiple enemies and have the option to get out of alt CC and get out. This is also a disgusting counter to characters like, for example, Ao Kuang. You really rely on getting you low and then getting that execute off, and when they get CC'd in the wrong moment, they will have an issue with that. But what does that all conclude? Overall, you will have most tankiness, most pure tankiness, if you just go for Height of the Urchin. You will be able to soak up most of the damage. But that's literally it. If you're looking for a single tanky item in a build, but you want it to be really, really tanky, then maybe Height of the Urchin should be a choice. Because even the unstacked version is far from bad when we look at the values compared to the others. It is still better than Mantle of Discord when we just talk about tankiness, while being significantly cheaper. And for the same price, you should be able to get another item that offers you the CDR if you need it, though you will obviously not get the passive. At the same time, you always have the chance of potentially getting at least some stacks, and these stacks will definitely help you. If anything about your character synergizes with mana or health, that's obviously also a benefit. If you're looking, for example, to build something crazy like Book of the Dead, where you need more health in the same build as Height of the Urchin, spoilers, then you may be able to get more benefit out of that, as opposed to the pure defensive protection stats that the other items have. Spirit Robe, on the other hand, is probably the reliable option for most, the option that comes with a lot of extra benefits, the bonus package through CDR and CCR, and the option that helps most against very high CC focused comps. The damage reduction you get through it is still very much immense compared to other items, and it is very, very accessible as well. Like, it doesn't depend on anything else. You buy it and you get to go, whereas Height of the Urchin obviously need those stacks. So this choice is definitely the one you should go for when an enemy will have some CC that they apply before the damage goes off, or when you expect to be locked down before big damage happens. Like, for example, if the enemy team has a Poseidon and the rest of the enemies will lock you down for him or something like that. Mantle of Discord, like I said, is more of the niche choice when it comes to protection stats, though the nice thing about it is getting it late into a tanky build. If you already have some tanky items, it will be very beneficial to get this extra passive, because it makes you so much more survivable when you can already soak up a lot of damage. It's also a very nice option if you're sure you're just gonna go for a single protection item, for example on Saket, because it will often mean that the passive is what's saving you, not so much the item in itself. If you're a character that doesn't really get to live long in a fight anyways and would still die if they had Spirit Robe because you're gonna get bursted, then you may be better off with Mantle of Discord, simply because it can interrupt an enemy in his combo or something that was about to kill you in the first place, and therefore get that benefit that way. I would say what you should take away from this video is definitely that Height of the Urchin is not as weak as many people think it is, and it is being picked up in solo lane at the moment more again for a good reason, but at the same time it doesn't have some extra perks that other items have. Before we end this video, I quickly wanted to shout out Into the AM again. I'm an affiliate with them, and they have been making Smite merchandise lately. I have said this in a video before, but I think some of you may not have seen that yet. I think it's some really cool designs that they've brought out, especially the Bakasura and Ola design that were around for quite a while and people were asking for some way to get them as a shirt. You can check out their website down below. I have a referral link there in the description, and if you want 10% off, you can use Duke as well as a code. With that, thank you guys for watching. I hope this was insightful, I hope this was informative. I hope to see you for the next one tomorrow. If you're not subscribed yet, feel free to click that sub button and maybe the bell, it really helps me out. Duke Sloth, out.